absolute value. Absolute value. So you might have heard of the idea of absolute value before. When we talk about absolute value, we might see these lines that go straight up and down. And we say this means the absolute value of 3. Or we might see something like this. I made parentheses. That's supposed to be not parentheses, but straight up and down. Some of you might be tempted to think that you know exactly what these bars mean and how to find the absolute value of something. But a lot of people don't understand the real definition of absolute value. The real definition of absolute value is the absolute value of a number is how far that number is away from 0 on a number line. Okay, so how far is 3 from 0? 3. How far is negative 3 from 0? It is also 3. So some of you think that absolute value just means everything comes out positive. And everything does come out positive. Every number has a positive absolute value, because we wouldn't say that this is negative 3 away from 0. No, distance doesn't work that way. We would just say it's 3 away from 0, just like this is 3 away from 0. So that's a little reminder about what absolute value is. Does absolute value always come out positive? Yes, it does always come out positive, but it comes out positive because absolute value is a measure of distance. And it doesn't make sense to talk about distance as negative, like, oh, I'm negative 100 feet away from you. That doesn't really make sense, okay? So absolute value always comes out positive because it's a measurement of distance. Specifically, it's a measure of distance from 0. Now, that being said, what if we add what we know about absolute value to what we know about solving equations? If I said the absolute value of some unknown number equals 10, what is that unknown number? Well, in this case, that unknown number could be 10, or that unknown number could be negative 10, because isn't negative 10 also 10 away from 0 on a number line? Ah, okay. In other words, could you put a negative 10 here and have it come out to positive 10 when you take the absolute value? I guess what we're saying is absolute value equations can have two solutions. That's kind of the moral of the story. So when it comes to solving absolute value equations, make sure you don't just say x equals 10. X could equal negative 10, and to fully solve this, we need to know any possible value of x that would make this equation true. Okay, that's not too bad. What if I asked you to solve this? The absolute value of f plus 5 equals 17. Okay, now it's a little bit trickier because there's more to it. So here's what you need to do. Just like on this problem, we set this equal to this, and we set this equal to negative that. I need to set this equal to this, and I need to set this equal to negative this, because if this whole thing equaled negative 17, then the absolute value would still come out to positive 17. So I'm going to get two solutions on this problem as well. I'm going to get f could be 12, right? Because 12 plus 5 is 17, and the absolute value of 17 is 17. Or f could be negative 22. And again, let me check that. If I put a negative 22 here, wouldn't I get negative 17? And isn't the absolute value of negative 17 positive 17? Aha. So this doesn't just have one solution. It has two solutions. When you are solving absolute value equations, you should get probably more than one solution when you're solving it. That's pretty much the lesson today. That's pretty much the lesson. I mean, there's not that much to it. The idea is just do it twice. Do one for the positive version of that number, do one for the negative version of that number. It's just basically two problems built into one. I do have a couple of little kind of interesting cases though. What if I said solve the absolute value of n plus 7 equals 0? Well, I mean, would it even make sense to say n plus 7 equals 0 or n plus 7 equals negative 0? That doesn't even make sense. Okay, so do absolute value equations always have two solutions? No, they can have two solutions. They don't always have two solutions. In this case, there's only one solution. And then speaking of that, what if I said 5h plus 2 absolute value equals negative 8? Okay, if I solve this one and I did 5h plus 2 equals negative 8, and then I do the other version, 5h plus 2 equals positive 8, and then I take away 2, and then I get 5h equals negative 10, and then I divide by 5, I get h equals negative 2, and then I do the same process. I'll go quick here, 6, I'm going to get a fraction, 6/5. The problem is, if you were to plug these numbers in here, they don't work. If you plug a negative 2 here, what's 5 times negative 2? Negative 10. Okay, but okay, so you get negative 8. But is the absolute value of negative 8 negative 8? No. So that doesn't work. And the same thing happens here. Wait a second. Hold on. Does the absolute value of anything ever come out negative? No. This is another setup, right? So what do we say about an equation like this? We say it has no solution. All right, so if we had figured that out at the beginning, we could have saved ourselves a lot of work and energy and effort. Whenever you have the absolute value of something equals a negative, it's automatically no solution because it's impossible. All right, and if you understand that, then you understand how to solve absolute value equations. Congratulations, good job, and I will see you in class.